Welcome to our new podcast of Rock to Closing. We are going to talk about the intricacies of real estate transactions in New York State. Let's dive into it and get to know our hosts. So, I'm sitting here with Dalia. Who are we? Dalia, can you tell a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Arcelia. My name is Dalia Zaza. I am a New York State licensed attorney. Since 2005, I've been practicing exclusively in New York State. I started my career out in litigation and I dipped a toe in real estate back then. But the more and more I did real estate, the more I realized that's where I wanted to be. So I do have all kinds of experience with real estate transactions, both in the city and in Long Island and outside of those areas as well. So I'm really excited to be on the show and to host it with you. Tell me about yourself.
Thanks. So I am similar to you. I'm also a real estate attorney in New York State. But before doing that, when I was very young, I have started to invest in real estate and I found it to become my passion. At that time, professionally, I was a human rights attorney and advocate, and I've been doing that for over 20 years before I decided to make real estate my profession. I am now a licensed attorney in New York State, and I am primarily focusing on real estate transactions in the city, in the 5 boroughs.
Sounds great. So let me ask you, why should our listeners be listening to us?
That's a good question. And the reason is because you and me together, we bring a wealth of experience and passion for real estate to this podcast. So hopefully many will tune in and listen to us. So talking about tuning in, Dalia, who should be listening to the podcast?
I think our episodes would be very, very beneficial to anyone buying a home, selling a home, definitely sales agents, brokers, title agents, mortgage brokers, loan officers, other real estate attorneys, other real estate investors. I think all of these people can benefit from our episodes. And we will be having guest visitors to come on the show and talk to us about what they know about real estate transactions in New York. Very exciting.
Exactly. Very exciting.
Yeah. Ursula, why don't you tell us what the podcast series is going to be about?
This podcast series came up because we were talking about our experience when we are representing buyers or sellers of real estate transactions. And what we have realized is that everyone is asking us exactly the same questions. So, for example, I had a client purchasing a tiny small apartment somewhere up in the Bronx for $200,000. And I had at the same time a similar client who was buying something in Midtown New York City for $5 million in cash. And both clients were asking the same questions. It was just such a revealing experience that, wow, there are these questions coming up again and again. And it's all because the real estate transactions in New York are so complicated. So when we were talking about this with Dalia, we decided that why don't we launch a podcast where we walk through the real estate transaction process from the very beginning to the very end to give people the knowledge, what they are facing and what's up ahead of them. So,
yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think that we are really trying to give some transparency to these transactions that are complicated, but they don't have to be so stressful for the parties involved. Keep in mind, please, that we are not here to give legal advice, and nothing that we say or that you hear on this podcast should be construed as legal advice just because we're attorneys. We're really here to help you through the process of the transaction and tell you what happens after the deal sheet's drawn up. When will we sign the contract? What is the due diligence process? What is a title report? Why should you care about it? How to communicate with your lender? What questions to ask your lender? If you're the lender, what questions you need to ask the buyers. Basically, just everything you need to prepare you for the closing, because this is generally for a buyer and seller the biggest transaction in their lives. A lot of times, this will be the most they spend on anything, the most they sell anything for. And all the parties need to be really knowledgeable and they need to do everything right. You'd be surprised all the tiny little steps that need to be taken by all the people involved in a closing. We felt like it was our duty almost to bring that to the public and share it with you. Also, what is Rock the Closing? This is our podcast. It's our podcast title. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Okay. So Rock the Closing is something that everyone wants who is involved in a real estate transaction. Whether you are a seller or a buyer, your aim, purpose, goal is to go to your closing and rock it. Make sure that you sail through that moment of circus that's happening in the 2 hours or 1 hour or even 4 hours. What you want to do is you want to sit at the table and rock it. So that's why we have decided that that's the last bit of the real estate transaction, which is called a closing. That's the last moment. It's when the money and the keys are exchanging hands. And what you want in the entire lengthy process of transaction, what you want is arrive at the closing table and rock it.
We really want you to feel comfortable, feel prepared every step of the way. And at the table, when you're signing all the papers and you're signing the deed, you're collecting the checks, you want to have full confidence in everything that has come to the table this far. You really rocked it. You did it. You know, whether you're the sales agent, the broker, the mortgage broker who got the loan approved quickly, whatever your role is, you should rock it and you should feel like you rocked it. That's our goal, and that's our podcast. That's what it's going to be about.
Daria, I couldn't agree with you more, but let's give a little bit of perspective and let's finish with a funny story. Tell me, was there any time that you did not rock the closing?
Okay. My gosh, so many closings under my belt and so many opportunities for things to go wrong. I'll just share a quick one with you. Some things you just don't, you really don't even think about because you think they're the small things. I had a closing once where I represented the buyer and we showed up at the closing table at the lender's office and the sellers kind of rushed in hurriedly late and they had never met their attorney before and the attorney said, "Nice to meet you." And we sat down to start the closing. The sellers were a married couple, and neither of them had brought any sort of ID with them whatsoever. And this whole transaction had really been over, email and mail. And so I have no way of verifying that these are the people that own this house. And to my knowledge, neither did their attorneys. So that was sort of a unexpected glitch in that closing. We were able to work it out, but obviously, that was something that could have been avoided if, the sellers had been prepared and been told and been given a checklist of all the things that they bring, not just their wallet to put the checks in.
Thank you for this insight. And definitely that's what we will be doing when you are going to listen to our podcast. You're going to be rock the closing and you will be prepared how to arrive at your closing table. So all these can be avoided. Okay, once again, thank you so much for listening to us. Please tune in to our next session to rock the closing of real estate transactions.
That's right. Check out our website, rocktheclosing.com, and feel free to ask any questions on there that you wish us to discuss in one of our future episodes. We're happy to listen to our listeners. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Rock the Closing. This podcast is hosted by real estate attorneys who offer valuable insights. Please remember that the content is for educational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. Always consult a qualified professional before making any decisions. This podcast is copyrighted by Rock the Closing and any reproduction, syndication, or rebroadcasting of the content requires written permission.